Welcome back, grade 11. And yes, we are already at unit 2, the Achilles heel. Okay, let's look at the picture. What do we see here? You would say, well, it's a man. What is he doing? Skiing? But let's look a little bit further down. Now, this man doesn't have legs. See that? Amazing. Being able to ski with legs is already super difficult, but doing it without legs, I wouldn't want to try that. Okay, the Achilles heel. What is the focus on this topic? Number one, let's take a look. The title of this unit refers to the Greek hero Achilles, whose one weakness was in his heel. The expression Achilles heel can refer to problems and obstacles that people face in their lives. What kinds of challenges do you predict this unit will be about? What do you think will be discussed? Come up with some ideas, write them down. Number two, the photo shows a courageous individual who has not permitted a physical challenge to get in his way. Aside from physical challenges, what other challenges do people face? So this man just now in the picture doesn't have legs, but still goes on skiing, so it doesn't stop him. What other type of challenges can we as people face in life? Write that down too. Cool. Number three, how would you define the word disability? What does that mean to you? Should conditions like obesity, memory loss, phobias, great fear of something like crowds or heights be considered disabilities and protected by law or not? Okay, write down some of your ideas over there, and in our next meeting, we are going to discuss that. Cool. Let's continue with listening one. Artist opens others' eyes, so other people's eyes. Before we do that, we're going to look at the vocabulary. And of course, this unit again has a compilation of words at the back of the book that we are going to focus on for this unit's vocabulary. And you can look that up with me. That's on page 211. You can see here the word list. Unit 2. Average, buckle down, devastated, diagnosis, get going, go far beyond, grief, hardships, inspirational, make something look cool, no small task, overcome great odds, persevere, stereotypical. That was it. Tough, what keeps me going. Okay, those are the words that we focus on for this unit. And then we've got the grammar going for unit 1 is gerunds and infinitives. Gerunds and infinitives. Awesome. Okay, that brings us back to page 28. Listening 1. Okay, let's take a look at the bold-faced words, which are the focus of vocabulary for this section in your book, Listening 1. The first one is average. They've got devastated. Here it already states the definitions exactly. Average means having qualities that are typical of most people or things. So it's more ordinary when it is average. Devastated means extremely sad or shocked. Diagnosis, identification of what illness a person has. That's something a doctor would give you after thorough examinations. Go far beyond, to exceed the expected or usual boundary or limit. You push further. Grief is extreme sadness, especially because someone you love has died. Hardships are things that make your life difficult. Make something look cool, make something seem fashionable, attractive, interesting, etc. It's informal. Misconceptions is the ideas that are wrong or untrue, but that people will still believe. Persevere is to continue trying to do something difficult in a determined way. You do not give up. stereotypical, widely held, but sometimes incorrect opinion. That was it. That was the end. Also, an informal way of speaking. And what keeps me going is what gives me hope and encouragement. Okay, so those are the words for this listening section. We straight away will go to activity 2. Now, this is where you come in. You're going to complete this whole talk. Okay, you have a call-in show here. So these are comments to a call-in show, and you're going to fill in the blanks with a word or expression from the box. And here we've got all the words we talked about just now that we mentioned, and you got to place them in the correct place. Just now, here in activity 1, we looked at the words, phrases, and the definition, understanding what the word or phrase means. But now you're going to place those words and phrases in the right context and trying to see that word or phrase in the right context. Yes? Okay. I'm going to give you some time to do that. You can pause your video. Okay, that brings us to previewing. Now, we're gonna go start an audio, a listening, and before we do that, we always preview. Same we do with a reading, we also do with a listening section. So, think about the title of the listening section that you're going to hear. What is it going to be about? What disability do you think you might hear about? And then listen to an excerpt from Carol Saylor's story and circle the correct answer. So you're going to listen to something, it's only preview, so it's a very short part of listening, but it just directs you enough. Let's listen first and then come up with the answer for what type of listening it is and what the topic and focus is. And please try to circle the correct answer. What a sailor, and she sounds either devastated, hopeful, or angry.
My name is Carol Saylor. I am 73 years old. I am a sculptor and an art teacher.
And you slam it down. Punch it some more.
And I happen to be blind and deaf.
Okay, so what type is this? It's probably just somebody who's going to tell the story about themselves, yeah? And as we already mentioned, this is about hardships that people go through. So she will probably talk about, Carol will probably talk about her hardship in life, which she already mentioned just now. Did you hear? What was that? She's blind. Yes. Let's listen one more time.
My name is Carol Saylor. I am 73 years old. I am a sculptor and an art teacher.
And you slam it down. Punch it some more.
And I happen to be blind and deaf.
Yes, not only blind, but she's also correct. She's also deaf. So that's an enormous challenge she has in life. Okay, please answer. Is she a painter, sculptor, and musician? Is she devastated, hopeful, or angry? Go ahead and try to answer that. Now, that was our previewing. Now, what we got out of it, what is she? She is a sculptor, exactly. She's a sculptor. It's not sculpture, she's a sculptor. Yeah, so she's someone who creates, who sculpts, yeah, who creates statues and so on. And she is blind and deaf. So that is very difficult. And the idea of her being a sculptor and being able to do that without even seeing or hearing is amazing. Okay, listen to the whole report and look again at your prediction from previewing. How did your prediction help you understand the report? So, and I want you to answer the correct. I want you to answer the questions with the correct answers. If you look at numbers 1 to 4, I would like you to underline or circle, annotate, exactly, annotate the keywords in the questions and in the answer choices. You can pause your video first to do that. Go ahead. Okay, cool. So now you're going to listen to the audio and straight away you will answer number 1, 2, 3, and 4.
My name is Carol Saylor. I am 73 years old. I am a sculptor and an art teacher,
And you slam it down. Punch it some more.
and I happen to be blind and deaf. When I first got the diagnosis, I was devastated. I thought that this was it. I had this stereotypical picture of blindness that the sighted world has. One of the misconceptions is that you see black, which I don't. I see all kinds of colors and shapes and vibrating spots, and it's quite beautiful.
Sammy is right here, over
right.
to your right. My name is Kate Whitman, and I teach art at Harrodson High School. Today I brought my 3D multimedia sculpture class to see Carol Saylor's work. For me, her story is just as important as the work itself. She's been through so much hardship, and she's found a way to always overcome and find a way to be positive and keep persevering.
Today we're talking to about 12 students. I want them to close their eyes and touch my work.
Do you have your eyes closed?
Yeah. I want them to think about their mind's eye. I want them not to be afraid of blindness.
I didn't really think about what it would be like to be an artist while being blind and deaf. It's a crazy thing to think about. She's really good with touching things, and she could really make the form of the body look cool when she can't even see it.
My favorite subject is the female form, and I like sensuous shapes, and I like faces. The things that I have learned about art go far beyond, I think, what the average sighted person knows. And that's really what my art is all about. I'm trying to demonstrate to the sighted community that there is another level to art.
My name is Ophelia Castellito, and I'm in 9th grade, and I'm here on a field trip with my school. I thought that she was an amazing artist. She opened my eyes to that everything isn't just about what you see, it's also about what you feel.
My art expresses these feelings of grief and loss and also hope, but it is definitely not art therapy. It is way beyond art therapy. It's an expression of my inner gut. it's just it's part of me. I would hate to not be able to do it because that's what keeps me going, I think.
Okay, awesome. Amazing, the challenge she had to face in her life, but that she can do something great with it is even more amazing. Okay, you got to take your pick in the multiple choice, and that brings us to details. So just now we looked at the previewing. Maybe you can see how listening to such a small section could help give you an idea of what the bigger picture of the audio was like. That was about a woman who couldn't see and hear, and that she's somehow frustrated. In the preview, we could hear that she was kind of angry. Yeah? Of whatever it was that happened. And then listening for comprehension for the main ideas just now. Now we're going to go into details and try to hear the details in the audio. So while you're listening, I want you to circle the correct answer, complete the summary. This is a summary of the whole audio, so it doesn't go exactly the same. It's a shorter version, but I want you to follow and at the same time circle the correct answer. So pause your video first to go over the answer choices. Go ahead. Okay, now that leaves us to listening. Let's go.
My name is Carol Saylor. I am 73 years old. I am a sculptor and an art teacher,
And you slam it down. Punch it some more.
and I happen to be blind and deaf. When I first got the diagnosis, I was devastated. I thought that this was it. I had this stereotypical picture of blindness that the sighted world has. One of the misconceptions is that you see black, which I don't. I see all kinds of colors and shapes and vibrating spots, and it's quite beautiful.
Sammy is right here,
All
over
right.
to your right. My name is Kate Whitman, and I teach art at Harrison High School. Today I brought my 3D multimedia sculpture class to see Carol Saylor's work. For me, her story is just as important as the work itself. She's been through so much hardship, and she's found a way to always overcome and find a way to be positive and keep persevering.
Today we're talking to about 12 students. I want them to close their eyes and touch my work. Do you have your eyes closed?
Yeah.
I want them to think about their mind's eye. I want them not to be afraid of blindness.
I didn't really think about what it would be like to be an artist while being blind and deaf. It's a crazy thing to think about. She's really good with touching things, and she could really make the form of the body look cool when she can't even see it.
My favorite subject is the female form, and I like sensuous shapes and I like faces. The things that I have learned about art go far beyond, I think, what the average sighted person knows. And that's really what my art is all about. I'm trying to demonstrate to the sighted community that there is another level to art.
My name is Ophelia Castellito, and I'm in ninth grade, and I'm here on a field trip with my school. I thought that she was an amazing artist. She opened my eyes to that everything isn't just about what you see, it's also about what you feel.
My art expresses these feelings of grief and loss and also hope, but it is definitely not art therapy. It is way beyond art therapy. It's an expression of my inner gut. It's just it's part of me. I would hate to not be able to do it because that's what keeps me going, I think.
Amazing. Okay, people, you answered that, and that brings us to making inferences. Uh, Educated guesses, combining facts in order to get a conclusion to understand the underlying meaning of something. Okay, we're going to learn to infer meaning from figurative language. Now, what is figurative language? Last year you learned that in literature already, that figurative language is something like a simile, a metaphor, hyperbole, those kind of things are figurative language. And what they do is they create imagery. It creates a visual picture in your mind. Yeah, that is what figurative language does. So figurative language really goes deeper into meaning, can never be translated literally, but should always be looked at in from the implied meaning. So deeper into the meaning of what is stated. Speakers sometimes use figurative language to express their feelings. Now, figurative language involves comparing a situation, a person, an object to something else. For example, with a simile, we do a comparison using like an S. With a metaphor, we also compare, but we do not use like or as. Okay, either directly, we compare, or we do it indirectly now. With a simile, it's more direct. That's why we use like an S, and with a metaphor, it's more indirectly. Often, figurative language appeals to the senses. So that is what we call sensory details. Yeah, those are senses such as sight, sound, smell, and touch. Um, so we use adjectives or multiple adjectives that will refer to the sight, sound, smell, and touch. And that helps us to create a vision, a mental picture in our head, and that creates imagery. For example, here, to the art study students visiting her studio, Carol Saylor says, "The things that I have learned about art go far beyond, I think, what the average sighted person knows. And that is really what my art is all about." So the things that Saylor has learned do not literally go anywhere, but she uses the figurative sense of traveling or moving, go far beyond, to indicate the growth and expansion of her idea. So if you take that literally, then you think that her art must have traveled the world and her pieces of art must be everywhere, but that's not the point. What it means is that the underlying meaning, the growth and expansion, her ideas, and the meaning that she puts into her art is huge. Goes much further than what somebody who can see can just see. So you can't just see it, you have to feel it. Okay, so that is figurative language. Like, you cannot translate that literally, you have to go a little bit deeper. What can you infer from Saylor's statement? Circle the correct answer. People use more than just the sense of sight to create and appreciate art. Sighted people do not know how to be good artists, or she thinks that she has learned more about art than most blind people. You take your pick. Here the answer states A. People use more than just the sense of sight to create and appreciate art. Yeah, the sight of smell can be in it. Yeah, or definitely hearing can be in it. Touch, the feeling of it, the touch of it, all the sense of sight, but yeah, have something to do with it, and which create a deeper underlying meaning. Very good. Now we're going to listen to excerpts, and you're going to circle the correct answers. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to pause your video to read the questions and annotate the questions and the answer choices. What was that again? Yes, circling, underlining, or highlighting. Go ahead, pause your video.
She opened my eyes to that everything isn't just about what you see, it's also about what you feel.
A student is explaining her reaction after she visits Sailor's studio. What is the student's intended meaning? Let's listen one more time.
She opened my eyes to that everything isn't just about what you see, it's also about what you feel.
Okay. Excerpt 2. Carol Saylor is explaining her art to the interviewer. What is Miss Saylor's intended meaning?
The things that I have learned about art go far beyond, I think, what the average sighted person knows. And that's really what my art is all about.
Okay, what does she mean to say? What she means to say goes deeper than what you hear. Okay, let's listen one more
The
time.
things that I have learned about art go far beyond, I think, what the average sighted person knows. And that's really what my art is all about.
Awesome. Excerpt 3. Carol Saylor is explaining what art means to her. What is Miss Saylor's intended meaning to her statement?
It is definitely not art therapy. It is way beyond art therapy. It's an expression of my inner gut.
One more time.
It is definitely not art therapy. It is way beyond art therapy. It's an expression of my inner gut.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, now we've come to the last part of listening one in Unit 2, Express Opinions, the part where we learn to reason and think about things using the five W's and H to not just take things at face value, means just accepting them, but we're thinking about it and we come up with an opinion and we come up with reasons to develop and explain that opinion. And if even further possible, one more step, look at what that opinion and those reasons result into, or what effect that creates on people or circumstances, and what effect. Number one, what misconceptions do sighted people have about blind people? Why? And why is it important to overcome these misconceptions? It means misunderstandings or a way of thinking which is not correct. Number two, what do you think is probably the hardest challenge Carol Saylor faces as an artist? What advantages, if any, does she have over sighted artists? Please think about that, write down your opinion, reasons for your opinion, and try to see how that opinion, what that results into, or how that can affect other people's thinking. Awesome. Now that brings us back to the beginning, basically, of the lesson. Quick review of what we have been doing together. So, listening one, first thing we went over the vocabulary, looking at the definition, and then we looked at the vocabulary in context. Then we tried previewing before we started with our audio. And we listened for comprehending main ideas and main points. Then we listened to comprehend details. And then we went into making inferences of understanding meaning from figurative language. And I explained that figurative language is implied in its meaning. It cannot literally be translated or explained. Examples of figurative language are similes and metaphors that clearly show a comparison, whereas a simile uses like and as and is a direct comparison. For example, she is as beautiful as a rose. Then I'm comparing a girl with a rose. And metaphors in this case are also a comparison, but an indirect comparison, which does not use like or as. Yes. And so sometimes we use figurative language to bring deeper meaning to something. Okay, now, so we listened for that and to see what is the intended meaning. Like someone can say something in a way, but we can't translate that literally. Basically, the speaker means something deeper than that, and there's a reason why they say things in that way, to create more meaning. Yes, and last but not least, reasoning, having an opinion about something, developing that by using reasons, and one step further, seeing how that opinion results into something or affects something and or have an effect. Okay, really good. You guys did great today. It was a great moment together, and thank you so much for trying hard and doing the activities. Please stay excited. We will meet each other again in the next video, and stay cool. God bless you. Bye bye.